Welcome back, everybody out there in internet land. It's time for my recap of The Walking Dead, episode 5 of season 4, Internment. This episode, easily, in my opinion, was the most tense episode of the season thus far. Hershel, the episode easily belongs to Hershel. I mean, I already liked Hershel. He's always been that wise sage, but I mean, he really shows just how important he is to the group in this episode. And I was on edge the whole time, thinking he's going to be sitting there treating somebody, and then someone's going to walk up and just take a bite out of him, or maybe take his other leg. But Hershel was a trooper. So I'll get right into it. We see Rick. He's driving back. After parting ways with Carol. When Rick first gets back to the jail, he sees Hershel, and he's like, "So, how's Judith and Carl?" And Hershel's like, "Where's Carol?" It's like, "Oh yeah, and Sasha, is she okay?" I said, "Where's Carl?" or "Where's Carol?" And he's like, "Yeah, Carol's not gonna be home in time for dinner. In fact, she's not coming back again. She killed Carol, or didn't kill Carol. Carol killed Karen and David, and I kicked her out, so she's gone." And Hershel looks all sad. I thought that was gonna break Hershel right there, but it turns out Hershel is for tough. I wasn't gonna break him, but right now it's kind of like the eye of the storm. There's the quiet before everything just breaks loose. So Hershel's there. He's tending to the doctor. The doctor is like, "Oh, I don't want you to see my face. You can't see my face." And Hershel's like, "Hey, let me see your face." And he sees him, and pretty much he's about to die. Like, he's already bleeding from the mouth, bleeding from the eyes, so his time is short. But, he gives Hershel a little gift, a little going-away present. A freaking case full of shotguns, which comes in handy later. So Hershel, locks the door. He's going around doing his checks. Finds out that one of the guys he's about to die. He just starts coughing profusely, not unlike I do. Starts coughing up blood, bleeding everywhere, falls over and dies. And so Hershel, he's looking around, pulls out his knife, about to do the deed, and Sasha's like, I don't think people need to see all that. So they lift him up, put him on the gurney, they walk him out. It's basically, the morale's low enough as it is. Everyone's trying to hold on for dear life, waiting for these antibiotics. And, the last thing they need to see is like, oh, this is the fate that awaits you, a cold blade right into your brain. So they, put the white tarp over him, wheel him out, and pretty much, do the job there. And with Hershel, it takes him a while to finally be able to do it, because he's, Glenn was talking to him, and prior to that, I believe, and he hadn't done it before. This was the first time having to kill somebody before they turn. So, he just put the tarp over their face and just, stabbed them right in the head. That was all she wrote. So, anyway, he sends Sasha to go back to her cell and, finds her sleeping on the job, legs halfway out of the cell. So he goes in there, tends to her, obviously she passed out, a little tuckered out from all that, lifting dead people. The term dead weight is very appropriate in this situation. So anyway, so Maggie's outside. She's tending to the fences. She's stabbing them as she's known to do, and there's more and more of them. It seems like every episode, and they want in. They want the sweet, succulent neck and leg meat that they seem to like the most. And so she's out there. She's worried about Hershel. So Rick lets her go in there. After the whole Sasha incident and with that other guy, then somebody else turns, and that's pretty much like when shit hits the fan. So they're running out, and zombies are everywhere. At this point, I think there's like 2 or 3, and then one of the guys that Hershel was trying to speak to before, like pretty much the guy's brother or friend was in there, and he was about to die, and Hershel's like, "Let me see him." He's like, "Oh no, you don't need to see him. He's fine." And obviously he wasn't fine, because he comes up, bites the dude in the back. The dude fires the gun, and then Anyway, so go back to Rick. Rick hears the gunshot, sends Maggie in there. So Maggie goes, racing to go save her papa. She gets there, and the door can only be opened from the inside. So she goes to town with it with the axe, and she discovers a very valuable lesson that a metal axe cannot chop through a metal door. Just saying, so it's a good thing to know when you want to survive in a zombie apocalypse. So good job, Maggie, for teaching us all that important lesson. So anyway, the axe gets stuck, breaks. And so she's just able to look and not be able to help anybody. So chaos is breaking through there. We see Glenn fall out. He's like coughing up blood. And Hershel springing into action. Oh yeah, so Lizzie was in there with Glenn, and so she shows her use as well. She's still like, hey, the zombies are still nice. They're still people. She kind of still has that what was his name? That Milton mentality where she believes that there's still a human being inside of that person or inside of the zombie. And so she's leading him. He's like, oh no, don't eat Glenn. You don't want to eat Glenn. He's going to give you indigestion. Follow me instead. Let's go this way. Let's go. And so he's walking, and, she's thinking, oh, this is my friend. This dude, I mean, he's a little dead and all, but hey, sometimes the dead make the best friends. So anyway, the dude ends up falling on her, jumping on her, or whatever. And Hershel comes to the rescue. He's like, no, you're too old for Lizzie, you son of a bitch, and throws him over the edge. And then he goes to Glenn, sees Glenn's like, blah, 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 blah. So he's like, all right, so I need the mask. At this point, Maggie manages to break in. I think she threw a chair or a fire extinguisher or something. Whatever it was pretty badass. Because Maggie's badass. So she runs in there, and she sees Hershel tangling with Lizzie's would-be Walker boyfriend. And he's like, don't do it, you're going to hit the thingamajig. I need that for Glenn. So she's like, all right, I won't do it. Never mind, I did it. And she, obviously, being the marksman that she is a country girl. So she kills the dude. Hershel races, gets the mask on Glenn. Oh yeah, so the mask basically is to pump the blood out of their lungs so they don't choke on their own blood, as many others had. And they're able to get it on Glenn so they can save him. Meanwhile, on the outside, so this is all the chaos that's going on the inside. On the outside, Rick runs after Maggie leaves. He goes and gets Carl, and the two of them are working on the fence, trying to reinforce it with some logs. Fortunately, that's not enough. The logs break, the fence gives way, and then hell breaks loose, quite literally. So they're running. They get into the inside of the other perimeter fence. They're the outside, the inside perimeter fence. So they're on the inside of the perimeter fence, and the zombies are pouring through. Luckily, they had already prepared for this inevitability. So they already got assault rifles. They're ready. They're locked and loaded. Rick's walking Carl through, how to use the gun. He's like, here, see that trigger right there? You pull it. And Carl's like, yeah, I already knew that, Dad. I did kill your best friend. Anyway, so they start pouring through, and they just start pop, pop, pop. Just popping off shots, clearing all of these zombies. They had some plan about moving the bus to cover up the hole. I don't know if they ever got around to doing that. But anyway, they kill the zombies. Hershel saves Glenn. He ends up surviving, and Maggie's helping pump his little blood drainer thing. And nobody important really died. I mean, the doctor was kind of important, but he was kind of just there to explain the flu. Like, hey, this is how it's going to happen, and now we're all dead. And he died, and I'm assuming the outbreak is over now that they have the antibiotics. Because at the very end, after the dust is settled, Daryl, Michonne, Tyrese, and Bob, they all roll through. Like, hey guys, it looks like we had a party. There's a bunch of just dead bodies laying everywhere, and like, yeah, I guess we'll help. So anyway, Daryl confronts Hershel, who Rick had told about Carol, and he's like, hey, so where's Carol? He's like, you should probably ask Rick about that. He's got a better answer for you than me. So he's like, all right, I guess I'll go do that. And so he just walks off. So we never actually get to see that confrontation. Rick is busy teaching his son about peas. So he's sitting there like, hey, son, I need some peas. Well, I have the dirtiest fingernails you've ever seen. And so as they're sitting there being two peas in a pod. I know, I'm sorry. I could not resist. So anyway, as they're sitting there, eating peas and being farmers, or they're trying to enjoy the little bit of farm life they have now that they know that that's not going to last for very long. And so we see the governor lurking in the distance, looking all sinister, like he didn't even have his crew with him, just sitting there just watching and plotting and just sitting there just waiting for his time to strike. So obviously the governor will be back, as I will be back next week. So stay tuned. Be sure to go to Punch in the Walls Reality, PetWarPTWR.com. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, like the video, and I will see you next week. In the meantime, try not to get eaten or bitten or infected or, drown on your own blood. I would appreciate that. Thanks.